Whether you're buying boat parts or trying to sell some of the ones that you're no longer using, eBay is a great place to go about it. Hi, I'm Nika Waters and welcome to the Boat Galley podcast. Today I'm going to share some of the tips that I've learned from selling and buying things on eBay. There are a few things that you can do to make sure that your outcome is just the way you want it to be. Today's episode of the Boat Galley podcast is sponsored by Saving to Sail. Whether you want to start a blog or an online business, get paid to write, or get a remote job, Saving to Sail gives you the knowledge, tools, and inspiration to make money while cruising. Visit savingtosail.com/boatgalley for exclusive bonuses and use code BG20 for 20% off all Saving to Sail e-courses. Saving to Sail, helping you work online so you can leave the dock sooner and sail the world longer. That's savingtosail.com. We're busy getting ready to sell the house, move on to the boat, go cruising. And a lot of that involves sourcing all the tiny little bits and pieces that we need for certain projects, as well as getting rid of some of the stuff that we no longer need. Sure, there's Facebook Marketplace, there's Craigslist, there's the buy nothing groups, there's the old-fashioned put it out in front of your house and hope somebody comes and takes it. That's great for getting rid of stuff. Finding things, however, particularly when they're marine related, can be a little bit harder. And I don't know about you, but it can get really old looking on Amazon and the standard boat websites because they seem to be just so overpriced for what they are. eBay is kind of our ace in the hole. We have been successful both selling and buying on eBay, and I realize there are some tricks to it that might make it easier for you to decide. One of the things that's kind of strange about eBay, or that makes it hard for people to decide they're going to buy from there, is you just don't know exactly what you're getting. That's not the case with an Amazon or buying from Defender or something like that. But there are some tricks to doing it on eBay. So as a buyer, and some of the things that work for buying also work for selling. So keep that in mind as we're going. But in terms of buying, you want to make sure that you know what the price is from a regular source. So do things like check your local hardware store. Check on Amazon, check Defender and Jamestown distributors. Just because an item is on eBay, it doesn't mean that it's a good price. And as long as you go in armed with knowing what something ought to cost, that will serve you very, very well. We've actually seen successful auctions on eBay that are for used items, and they cost more than if the person just went and bought it at a store. Tip number 1, make sure you know what the price is from a regular source. Number 2, check what the previous auctions have gone for. When you're on the eBay site, you can go on the left-hand side and scroll down to the section where it says show only, and there are a number of different things you can click. And if you click on the sold items, you'll actually get a really fast look at what actual items that particular item has actually sold for. That will help you get your expectations in line. For instance, if you decided you wanted a brand new Mantis anchor and thought, oh, I bet I can find one used on eBay for a third of the price. And when you go and you look on eBay, you find that actually Mantis used anchors are selling for 95% of new ones. Your hope to get something at about a third price isn't really going to work out. Check to see what previous auctions have actually sold for, because that will give you a pretty good idea and help you keep your expectations in line. Here's the biggie. Check the seller rating. Unlike Amazon reviews, or actually reviews on almost any other site, eBay sellers, those ratings, those are from people who actually bought from that person. You can see right off the bat how many people have rated that person. You can also see how long the seller's been in business and the quality of the responses. It's not that you get to see 5 stars or 4 stars or 3 stars or 2 stars, but it's a percentage of positive ratings. And the positive ratings, they're basically Was this person good to deal with? Did they ship the item when they said they were going to? Did it show up the way it was in the listing? And you can find this rating when you click on the item that you're looking at. And if you look over on the right, any item, you can see the seller's name and the rating that's there. And if you click on that seller name, you get even more detail. The other thing is, I do take into account price. If I'm buying something that costs $1.51, I don't spend that much time looking at what the seller's ratings are. If I'm buying a battery monitor that costs $400, yes, I'm going to spend some time making sure that the seller has good ratings. How about as a seller? Let's say you have a box full of boat parts that you no longer need. You have moved on to something else, or you once upon a time bought boat parts that are still in their packages and you want to unload them so that you can feed your habit of buying the next new thing for the boat. Well, as a seller, some of those same tips come into play. First of all, make sure that you know what other like items have sold for. Number 2, write up your listing as exactly as you can. Because people type in their search terms. If you spell something wrong, it can hurt you. I remember we sold our engine. We actually sold the old boat engine on eBay. And it was a Saab engine, SABB, which is it's a marine engine. It's not like the car. It's a different thing. And I shared the listing with friends, and somebody wrote back and said, "You spelled it wrong." And we said, "No, actually, we didn't spell it wrong. If we had put SAAB like the car, then somebody who was looking for SABB, the engine, would not have come across our listing." Make sure you've spelled the thing right. If you're selling something that's new in the box, like that's never been opened, say that. And the title and the description are different. The title is the first thing. And you're limited in terms of number of words or number of characters, I think, that you can actually put in there. And once you hit that limit, eBay won't let you add anymore. But you can add a whole lot more information in the description, which is at the bottom, so don't miss doing that. As a seller, you want to take a lot of good photos, front, back, every single part of it. And you can choose which order those photos display in. The more you can include, the more likely it is that a question that a buyer might have will be answered with those photos. Another tip as a seller is to remember that you're writing a contract. So when you're writing up your listing, you're promising that it is what it is saying and that it has all the details that are in there. So if you don't want to ship outside of the United States, then don't let the listing say that you do. And there are some defaults in eBay, so you want to read through really, really carefully. If you don't want to take returns, you have to make sure that you note that. So be pretty careful about how you write your description and all the little bits and pieces that are in your eBay listing. There are a number of options that you can pick for shipping. Spend some time picking what you'd like to offer. You can offer free shipping if you want to, but you can also do buyer pays shipping or flat rate and offer from a number of different shipping options. You can also choose not just one, but many options for shipping. The first one that you pick is going to be the one that shows up in your listing, which will then most often be the default that a buyer will use. You absolutely, as a seller, you can set a buy it now price as well as a starting point for your auction. Generally, eBay will suggest a price that you might want to start with as a starting point for your auction. And I found that those are pretty good. And they'll also suggest a buy it now price if you want to. And a lower starting price might get you more offers. Obviously, if you're doing a buy it now price, you have to be sure that you're okay with whatever that comes back with. Because if somebody clicks buy it now before somebody else's bid, you are bound contractually to sell it to them at that price. After you've sold your item, make sure that you print the shipping label and package it up as soon as you can, because that shipping and sending it out garners you positive feedback, adding to those seller reviews. So those are some pretty good tips. eBay has been an incredible place for us to sell some of our old gear, as well as to find some items that we're wanting, particularly for the battery project, at a good price. It takes a little bit of time, both as a seller and a buyer, but right now, we seem to have an awful lot of time on our hand. And as we're going, it's awfully fun to send some stuff out in a package right as you're clicking buy on another item, and you know that basically the two things have kind of evened themselves out. I hope you have happy eBaying, both as a seller and as a buyer. What kinds of things are you going to tell me about when we share an Anchorage sometime? Thank you so much for listening to the Boat Galley podcast. We love it when you leave us 5-star reviews, share us with your friends, and let us know what's on your mind.